Hi, everybody. I'm Catherine Rice. I am the art mentor teacher for Responsive Ed, and I'm going to be the one who's helping lead you through this training for the new art curriculum that's coming out this year. I'm really excited about it. I have been working on it a lot over the summer, and I hope that you find it helpful for both you and your students. And I just also kind of want to take a minute to apologize and say that I'm sorry I can't be there in person today. I had intended to be there in person and to do the training in person, but unfortunately the schedule conflicted with my um, responsibilities here at Founders Classical Academy of Louisville, which is where I currently teach high school art and art history. So if there's any questions that you have at all, anything I can help with, that's literally my job and what I'm here for. So please email me at krice@responsiveed.com. Again, that's krice@responsiveed.com. So again, please email me if there's anything at all that I can help with or any questions that you have. And actually, the first thing that I would like to ask you guys to do is to provide me with your names and email addresses, because that's how I will provide you with access to this art curriculum. Is if you can email me your name, email address, and then also the school that you teach at. That will help me give you access to the art curriculum, because I've got to invite you over email. So again, email me your email address. Again, that's krice@responsiveed.com. So please do that ASAP, and that way I can get you going on the new curriculum as soon as possible. So there are a couple of things that I'd like to talk to you about by way of introduction before we actually get to the curriculum itself. And the first thing that I'd like to do is to introduce myself a little bit more to you guys, so that you've got some information on my background and kind of where I'm coming from in all of this. And then I want to give you a little bit more information on the types of resources that you will have at your disposal as you're actually teaching this curriculum. So the first thing that I'd like to do is just to tell you a little bit more about me and where I'm coming from. So I actually have a PhD in art history from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and I got interested in art by way of art history. And I actually was not an artistic kid at all when I was in high school. I didn't really think I was interested in it. I didn't really think I was good at it, that I could do it, so I just didn't try to do it, I guess. But I actually took AP Art History when I was a senior in high school, fell in love with it, and I decided that I wanted to major in art history after I got to college. And so as a part of my degree plan in college for art history, I was required to take a number of courses in drawing, painting, sculpture, photography, and I just really enjoyed the process of learning how to make art, how to create art. And then when I got to graduate school for art history, I ended up spending a lot of time in front of a computer screen, researching, writing, and I just kind of decided that I needed to do something that was not in front of a computer screen all day long, because I got really tired of it. And so I ended up taking a lot more classes in drawing and painting, photography, and everything that I could get my hands on, quite literally. And so I just really fell in love with the process of making art, doing art. And I also truly believe that art is for everybody, because I came from knowing nothing about how to make art to knowing a lot and getting a lot better at it through practice and through learning in an academic way. And so that's really my heart behind teaching, and that's the approach and the perspective that I bring to teaching, is that I believe anyone can do it, even if you're not particularly born with this special artistic skill that some people seem to have. So I really think it's for everyone. It's the approach I bring to my students, and it's the approach that I hope comes across in the curriculum that I've written for you guys and your students as well. So again, that's just a little bit about me and where I'm coming from. I also just want to take a couple minutes to talk about what this whole idea of a classical or an academic art curriculum means, because one of the things that I was asked to do when I was asked to write this curriculum was to make it classical or academic. And that's kind of hard to do with a younger age group, uh, simply because I can put my high school kids in front of a still life and tell them to draw classically or to draw realistically, academically. But you can't really do that with a kindergartner or a first grader per se. And so I really had to think about the most important parts of a classical or an academic approach that were appropriate to the grade levels that I'm writing for. And so I think that for the younger grades, in terms of an academic approach, I think the most important thing is an emphasis on the elements of art. So things like line, shape, color, texture, form, space, and value. And all of those things are explained in the curriculum if it's not necessarily something that's familiar to you. But an emphasis on just identifying those particular elements of art, I think, is the most important thing for younger kids. There is also an element of mastery of technique and the actual tools that you're using to create art that is also important to a classical or an academic approach. But I think that's harder to do at the elementary school age groups because there's a little bit less manual dexterity that those kids have. So it's something that if you teach K through 5, you won't see quite as much of in that part of the curriculum. If you teach middle school, 6th through 8th grade, you will start to see more of that technical mastery coming into the lessons. And I'll ask you to focus on it a little bit more in that particular curriculum. And then also the third thing that I think is important for a classical and academic approach to art at this grade level is an emphasis on art history as well as comparing and contrasting works of art with each other. So again, with those younger grade levels, there's not going to be as much of a historical emphasis. It's going to be more about comparing and contrasting artworks. How is this artwork the same or different than this one? And also identifying those elements of art, things like line, shape, and color, texture in artworks that the students are looking at. Once we get into the older grades, there is going to be more of an emphasis on that historical context, simply because the students are learning more about those historical periods in their history classes. So the art curriculum is designed to kind of match that as well. And then I want to also take just a couple of minutes to talk to you about the resources that you will have available as you're teaching this curriculum. So if you are teaching K through 5th grade, the most important resource that you will have is the Core Knowledge Teacher Guide. And essentially what that is it's a book per grade level. I have been told that they have been ordered for you. I don't know exactly how long they're going to take to come in, but hopefully they should be there soon if they're not there already. But essentially that the Core Knowledge Teacher Guide is a book per grade level. And so there's a book for kindergarten, a book for first grade, so on and so on. And within that book, there's a chapter on art. And that chapter on art has all the background information, everything, all the definitions, all the information that you will need to teach the lessons that I'm writing. So again, all the information is going to be in that Core Knowledge Teacher Guide for you. If you teach middle school, unfortunately, there's no Core Knowledge Teacher Guide that's published for middle school. It's only K through 5. So if you teach middle school, there's going to be a different responsive ed art history curriculum that you will have access to. We're still trying to work on getting everybody access to it, but that's going to be a separate thing that I'll talk about later on with the actual 6th grade curriculum itself. So just know that that's coming. you will have a resource for you, I promise. Um, and at this point, if I was talking to you guys in person, I would stop and I would ask if anybody has any questions. But unfortunately, I can't ask if you have any questions because I'm not there in person. But if you have any, again, please email me at krice@responsiveed.com. I am more than happy to answer anything that I possibly can for you. And then just the very last thing that I would like to say is that I have tried to make this curriculum as adaptable as possible. I know that we have all different kinds of teachers coming from all different schools that each have a different schedule that they're on. And so some of you will see your arts students for maybe one class period, 45 minutes during the week. Some of you guys will see your art students maybe 2 or 3 times a week for a couple of class periods. Again, I know everybody's totally different, so what I have attempted to do is I've tried to give you enough curriculum to cover that whole year, but I also realize that it might be more than what a lot of you guys can cover in the time that you have available with your classes. And so I don't expect you to complete every project that's in there. That's not my expectation at all. I've just intended it to be as adaptable and as flexible as you have available resources and time with your students as well. So feel free to pick and choose which activities you want to do with your students or which ones you don't want to do with your students. I've intended to give you at least some choice in that because I think that's the most effective way of doing things. So again, please feel free to email me if you have any questions. I'm here and I appreciate your time. So thank you, and let's go ahead and look at some actual curriculum. So thank you.